Welcome back to WSI's Digital Insider podcast series, where we chat with a top influencer in the digital marketing space to help you stay up to date on the latest trends and tactics. My name is Leanna San Pedro. I'm a member of WSI's corporate head office team in Toronto, Canada. I am an avid Blue Jays fan and Pinterest junkie, and I also happen to be your host today. Today, I am welcoming Mr. Michael Fertik. Michael is CEO and founder of Reputation.com, and he has pioneered the industry of online reputation management. His latest book, entitled The Reputation Economy, has already hit the New York Times bestsellers list, and it explores the enormous value that your reputation has in this digital world. So today, we are going to chat a little bit about harnessing that immense value. So, Michael, thank you so much for joining us today. We are really excited to have you here to share some of your ORM expertise.
Thank you. I'm glad to be part of the show.
For any of our listeners who might not be very familiar with the concept, what does it mean to actually manage a business's online reputation? How does that differ from, managing an individual's online rep?
Most of the business owners who are listening to this podcasts are already managing their reputation. They're probably just not thinking about it as an online reputation that's distinct from their offline reputation. Anytime you do any marketing, anytime you talk to a customer, anytime you ask for feedback from a customer, anytime you hang your shingle or make your storefront more attractive or dress nicely for work, those are all things you do to manage your reputation. But it turns out that managing your digital reputation or your online reputation is really the key leading indicator of whether your actual perception of your business is good or bad. People who interact with you offline in real life may have a nice impression of you, but the problem is that all the prospects and all the repeat customers also are going online to get a first impression about you. And if they don't get the right first impression, if they don't get a great first impression, in fact, then you never even get a chance to make that impression in person. So managing your business's digital reputation is all about getting to first base. It's all about having a chance to greet someone, to give them a sense of your store, of your business, of your service, and to continue to develop a relationship with them that actually cultivates a good and healthy business-customer relationship.
So what if a business, for one reason or another, neglected their online reputation? What kind of risks would they face?
We see a huge drop-off at Reputation.com. We see a huge drop-off for prospects and customers who are not actively managing their digital reputation in their business. In other words, you could be leaving as much as 50% of your business on the table if people are looking you up and not finding a good result. So, look, we know that 85, 90% of customers in every business now they're looking up the businesses in their area that serve their needs, and whether they find you first or don't. That's question one. Whether they find something good about you or just neutral or, God forbid, negative. Those are all things that are not only they're finding, but they're making decisions based on what they find, and they won't even give you a chance. Word of review, word of online reputation is now overtaking word of mouth as the most important leading indicator of whether a customer or prospect is going to do business with you. The flip side is, if you are paying attention, if you are cultivating your online reputation, then you're going to get much more business. If you have a lot of reviews that you collect, if you get good feedback from your customers, if you're publishing those pieces of feedback online, if you're making sure that you're getting honest reviews of your business online, if you're plugging that stuff into your point of sale system so it happens automatically, this accumulates a body of work and a reflection of your business that's very positive. And you don't have to do anything special, you just have to do it. You don't have to pay your customers to do it. In fact, don't pay your customers to do it. You just have to make it easy for them to give you feedback and to publish that feedback online. And then what happens is your business grows. You get more referrals from the digital world. You get more business from the web. You get more business from Google and from Apple Maps. And that's what drives your business in the future. It is the most effective and cost-effective way to market your business today.
So I'm just going to jump back a little bit. So as a leader, as a CEO of Reputation.com, how do you embrace reputation management as a core value in your own team and essentially align all of your employees or locations?
Reputation.com, we all take digital feedback very, very seriously. We do it internally, both in our own internal systems, but also we make sure we collect reviews from our customers all the time, and we pay close attention to what people say about us, whether it's good or bad. And I'll tell you, our customers are customers who understand that digital reputation, that their digital feedback is where a lot of their business is coming from. In fact, most of their business is now coming from digital feedback because even if they hear about you from word of mouth, even if they hear about you on the radio or from a TV ad or from a news story about you, they're going to go look you up online first and see what the internet thinks about you. And then they're going to make a decision to buy or not to buy. All the surveys, all the data you can throw at it, they all show the same thing. They look you up and then they make a decision to buy or in fact not to buy. They undo a point of view to buy based on the feedback they've got. So one of the clear things, probably the biggest mistake that I see business owners make when they very smart, educated, sophisticated business owners, the biggest mistake I see them make is, hey, I got a lot of business, or I got a lot of offline business, people know me in the neighborhood, or I don't publish anything silly to Facebook, therefore my business doesn't have a reputation to speak of. That's not true. Your business does have a digital reputation, and it's either going to be, it may not be negative, it could be neutral, but if it's neutral, it's not doing anything for you. It's not adding to your life. If your storefront is kind of bleh, if your service people are kind of bleh, they may not be taking anything away from you, but at the same time, they're not doing anything for you. And you want every part of your portfolio to work for you and to generate new and repeat business for you. You want your customers to be empowered to generate new and repeat business for you. If you've been in business for more than 3 or 4 years, you must be doing something right. A lot of your customers must be very happy. And so all you got to do is give them the tools to tell the world that they're happy, and then they and their friends will come back to you and generate more business for you.
When soliciting the reviews that you want from customers, businesses, they essentially open themselves up to negative feedback in addition to the positive. So is there any direction you can provide in dealing with the negative feedback itself?
That's a very good question. Our experience is very clear. When you start soliciting reviews, and I mean you got to do it, in an honest way. You can't exchange value, you can't promise any discounts. That's the right way to do it, is to make sure you just do it in a sincere, clean way. If you do that, then almost all of the feedback you get is going to be positive. You will get negative reviews, but guess what? You're getting negative reviews anyway. And so almost all the incremental feedback, almost all the new feedback you're going to get is going to be positive. We have a very good case of a real estate company in Southern California that was collecting a lot of feedback offline when handwritten reviews, but they didn't know what to do, and they started to plug in our system to their online and offline processes, and they got more than 2,000%, a 2,000% increase in their review volume. And almost all of it was positive. Of course, they got pieces of negative feedback, but the truth is their rate of negative feedback stayed the same, but their rate of positive feedback exploded. Now, what happens when you get negative feedback? Don't be afraid of it. The first thing you want to do is make sure you take a breath and understand that sometimes if it's really vitriolic, it's just written for an audience of one. It's just someone venting. If it's constructive feedback, that's something that you might want to take to heart and say, hey, how can I improve my operations of my business in a way that really responds to this constructive feedback? And there are a lot of good nuggets and tidbits that come from constructive feedback reviews that you can get all the time. The last thing I'll say is that before you respond to a negative review, you have to make sure that you understand why you should respond, if at all. If the negative feedback you're getting is from someone who's really, really, really toxic, you may simply just need to say thank you for the feedback, and that's it. Or you might need to say nothing unless they're saying something that's specifically rebuttable. For example, if they say you don't serve a certain dish, or you've never served a certain kind of client, or your store closes at a certain hour, and that is demonstrably false, that's the only thing you might add to that conversation. Otherwise, as we say in Kentucky, if you wrestle with a pig, you both get covered in mud, and that's not good for anyone.
So aside from, customer...
I bet you didn't expect the pig response.
No, I was not.
I started the company in Kentucky, and there's a little bit of... we got to bring a little bit back to the table here.
Aside from poor customer reviews, how can a company's online reputation, can that be affected from, an employee's personal reputation?
The key people at a business are now inextricably linked in their reputation to their business. It doesn't mean it always comes up, but you have to assume it will come up. And so in the case of a CEO or of a business owner, the reputation they have is going to be connected to the reputation of the business. And that's not always fair, but it is true. So you want to make sure that when people look you up online, they get an authentic view of you and your colleagues. They get an authentic view of you and your commitment to your business, that this business is important to you. And there are a lot of ways to do this. You can just explain in a few short sentences on your personal profiles that this business is the priority of your life or one of the priorities of your life, and this is you put care into your customer interactions, you put care into your services and products, and that authenticity will come across. You don't have to spend a huge amount of time curating and blogging and tweeting. You can do just a little bit of it as makes sense, once a week, once a month, once every 2 weeks. It depends on which vertical you're in and what kind of business you're in. That's what should drive the decision of how often you contribute to the web and to your digital profile. But you have to make sure that when people look you up, they don't see your only or exclusively your passion in folk music. You may have a passion in folk music, but they also want to make sure that you also want to make sure they see your passion for your business and for your customers, because that authenticity, which I'm sure you already possess, that authenticity will come across and make people feel good about doing business with you. The decision to purchase is increasingly personal, and they'll feel good about the fact that they have helped make your dream successful. They've helped make your business successful, and they've done that through their custom, through their business, through their dollars.
WSI has been around for 20 years now, and we've come across a lot of clients who they actually suffer from the John Smith effect, and they have to battle with other people or even other brands with the exact same name. So what would you suggest for people like that?
WSI has been so successful over 20 years because of its own commitment to its own reputation, and because of the commitment that WSI has to the reputations of its customers. And that's an excellent case in point of how seriously a progressive, thoughtful company with a global reach can succeed for and with its customers, and therefore become successful. The John Smith problem is the problem that inheres in companies that have the same name as somebody else. The good news is that most small businesses and most medium-sized businesses do not have the same name as another company in the same town or region. That does happen, but it happens rarely. What's important for a lot of the people listening today is to focus very clearly on how their digital profile and reputation surfaces in their area. So when people look for a florist or a law firm or a manufacturing company that is in a certain region, or a supply chain company that's in a certain region, you want to make sure that you are coming up first and you're coming up roses. Both tests are important. Now, I don't think it's as important for a business with a regional impact as most businesses have in the world. I don't think it's as important for them to worry about what happens in California if they're in Georgia, or in Florida if they're in Washington State. I do think it's important for them to make sure they're distinguished from the other guys in their neighborhood, but that's where I would focus that effort.
How has, or would you say, that ORM for businesses has evolved as a concept over time?
Reputation.com pioneered the concept and industry of ORM, and so I've seen it since the beginning, since I founded this company. And it's clear that business owners are now very attuned to the power of digital feedback and to the power of digital reviews and digital surveys. There used to be a kind of, hey, there's nothing we can do about it, put the ostrich head in the sand and bury oneself and pretend that there's nothing you can do about it. Then there was a, hey, all we got to do is blog 200,000 times a day and we'll be fine. And quickly business owners realized that was just onerous and too much of a burden. And it's taken a lot of study and a lot of observations, a lot of repeated data sets that we've built up over time to figure out exactly what is the optimal amount of digital interaction for your vertical, for your business, for your size of business, for your type of business. What's productive and what's a tax? What's too much and what's too little? The truth is, for a lot of companies of different sizes, tweeting a lot is not really going to do much for you. Now, for certain verticals, it's essential. And for many verticals, it's useful to do once in a while, just to keep up your web presence in a healthy way. But making sure you understand how often to do it, that's part of this special sauce and the knowledge set that we've had to develop at Reputation.com. And we're now on we're sort of past the denial phase, past the trough of disillusionment, and now we're in the very constructive phase with North American businesses and European businesses especially. We're in the very constructive phase where they're starting to take very seriously, but not overly strenuously, the project of digital reputation. They understand that digital reputation drives their business, and they also are now no longer tempted to flail. They want to do something about it, and they want to do something concrete. Think of this as the kind of the moment in which, equivalent to 100 years ago, when people were figuring out, hey, do I use print? Or 60 years ago, hey, do I use TV? Or 70 years ago, hey, do I use radio? Now we have a lot of data about how to use Pinterest and how to use Twitter and how to use Facebook, how to advertise in these places, how to use Google. And that received wisdom across many, 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 many millions of data points for us. It goes into every time we service a customer so that you know you're getting exactly what you should be paying for.
So on that same note, if a small business owner who had, a two-man operation, if you had to pick one activity for them done as often as necessary to build their brand credibility, what would that be?
The most powerful lever that a business owner has is digital reviews. And it's not just one review website. It's not just the famous ones or the small ones. It's usually a bunch of them, a grouping of them that are very important for your vertical. And we spend a lot of time at Reputation.com making sure we understand which review sites are most important for which verticals. It's not necessarily the one you read for restaurants that's important for your law firm or for your accounting firm. These are various different kinds of review sites that matter very importantly. But collecting good, authentic, real, verifiable reviews from real customers on a regular basis, that's very powerful because reviews are relied on very heavily by customers and by prospective customers. And so that's probably the one lever that I would point to as the most powerful lever that if you're going to have to pick one, you should pick. On the other hand, I don't think that picking one is really the right answer. The right answer is that you should pick a portfolio of techniques, their reviews, their surveys, their search engine marketing, they are Facebook advertising, they're your placement on Google, they're getting enough data accurately up in the business listings portion of the various online directories to make sure that your data are showing up nice and prominently when anyone looks for you. If they're not finding you when they look for a business like yours, then all of this is a moot point. It's all a dead letter, and there's nothing to do about it. So the answer is you should use a portfolio of techniques. Though if you asked me to pick one, I'd pick the one I would pick.
So if they were to choose just that one, is there a way that you could suggest, the best way to solicit customer advocates for your brand?
The best way to solicit customer advocacy for your brand is to do it right at the time of the business experience. So if you have a storefront, a very useful device is to collect an authentic review right at checkout. So you can have a little kiosk like a tablet computer, which I should disclose Reputation.com does do. We found it's a very, very powerful tool to allow the person at reception or upon checkout, hey, would you give us a review right now? And you don't have to look at them doing the review. You give them privacy. But that way, hey, of course, the concept of their going home and turning on their computer and then reviewing you after they get home, that's just very, very unlikely. So you get a lot of reviews and a lot of honest, authentic reviews with a lot of honest, authentic feedback right at the point of checkout. The second thing, if it's a little more sophisticated, is to plug a review collection system into your point of sale system. So as soon as you close the transaction, boom, an email goes out. So it's waiting for them when they get home. Hey, would you leave us a piece of feedback right here? Making it part of the integrated flow of your business is such an easy way to grow your review volume and make sure that the digital world is getting an accurate picture, an accurate reflection of your business success, which is that most people like you most of the time, which, by the way, is accurate.
Great. So we've talked about good reviews. We've talked about handling negative reviews. But what happens, do you have any tips for dealing with a plain out internet bully who simply just trolls you around the internet to simply trash you or to trash your brand across the web?
The good news is that the dedicated troll, the dedicated enemy concept that you're asking about, which is a very good question, the good news is that happens to very few business owners. When it does happen, then you really do need professional help. There's no way around it. Sometimes you'll know who it is, and you can somehow find a way to appease him or her. But usually it's quite personal at that point. If they're doing it not just once, but 5 times or over a period of a year, they're really angry, and there's something that just is very hard to get at, and you need professional help because one person with just a few hours of spare time can do a huge amount of damage to a business. And by the way, to make that the answer a little more relatable to most people listening, one negative review can have an outsized impact on you if you're not collecting enough pieces of feedback. One absence on one directory, whether it's Google or Yahoo, one missing listing when people are looking on their Google Maps or Apple Maps, they don't see your business show up very prominently because you don't have enough feedback that makes your business seem relevant enough to the Googles and the Apple Mapses of the world. That absence of information can really kill your casual traffic. If you're looking for somebody in the area who can do landscaping and your landscaping business is not showing up, you're hosed. So if they can't find you, you don't exist. That's such an important rule of thumb. Even one error along this chain of value can really be fatal to not to your business, but to your growth prospects.
Excellent advice, Michael. And that actually puts us at time right now. So I want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. I'm so glad to have been part of this.
And that concludes episode 2 of WSI's Digital Insider Series. Huge thanks to Michael Fertik from Reputation.com for joining us to talk about how businesses can better capitalize on the reputation economy. Thanks to all of you for listening. Hope you found this session informative, and if you have any questions at all about what was discussed today, be sure to get in touch with a WSI consultant in your region. This is Leanna San Pedro for WSI signing off.